Hello, this is a drum tutorial in Logic for Lance.
First thing, it usually starts you off with a verse and a chorus. The only difference between those is that they have been altered a little bit down here. So if we take a look at the verse, it's around this loudness, this complex, with hi-hats, say instead of toms, or cymbals instead of hi-hat. Each one of these has different patterns. If you click on the chorus, you'll notice it went to cymbals and it chose this pattern here, and it got a little louder. You can do is pick on any part of a verse here and just do Command T, and you just split it. And when you split it, it'll typically do a fill, and it'll make an identical section. If you don't want it to do a fill, take off fills, and that will just keep it going steady. But typically, you kind of like a little bit of a fill into a section, so you might want to have some on there. And if you don't like that fill, here's the trick: is pinch and zoom with the trackpad and change the location, and then pull this one over. And each time you do that, it's going to create a totally different fill. So for example, if we, that's one, and notice this one, different type of fill. You can go crazy and sit here all day long and keep changing it. The more you zoom in, the more you make subtle nuances, usually the more wild it'll be, especially if it's farther from the major tick marks. If you make little drags here just kind of like that, you're bound to make a little more intense fill. But it's also dependent upon how much of this you got, how little of that you got. Also, the more you run in here, it's not just about your breaks, it's also about fills in the verse itself. So if you want to keep it straight and never change, do that. If you like to have little nuances here and there, little pickup, maybe a hi-hat, little change, so it sounds more human, it's nice to leave some on. Then of course you have your kick and snare usually define the beat the most. In addition, I usually like to kind of pull it over here and start simple, get a general sound. If you don't like that, maybe pick a different drummer. And it talks about the personalities of the drummers right here. On top of that, you have your categories of drummers. On top of that, you have your actual drums. I like to stick in the producer kits. Maybe something like, let's go with Manchester kit. When I click that, you notice this went to Manchester, and it'll create a totally different sound. But within that sound, you also have up here, as long as you're clicked on the track, you've got this little dial here, and this allows you to kind of mix your drums right off the bat, and then allows you also to kind of give them more kind of tone or more room sound, or just dry by just adjusting that. And so typically I use these two. You can also go to the mixer and look at the drums, and you can go mess with the compressor, but I'd stay away from that until you just find something you like. So different types of drums here. You've got your way of adjusting drums here. Over here is the most useful one, because you can actually make your drumming simpler, louder, softer, more complex. Split a section, maybe turn off the kick or turn off the snare and the hi-hat and just keep a kick for 4 beats, split it, and then your next section, bring it back on. It's kind of fun to play with. You click details here and you can kind of push the song, pull the song a little slower, ghost notes, hi-hats a little more open, close, etc. Lastly, you want to go up here and usually go to custom, and you can pick your tempo. Just click on it and roll down or scroll down for slower song, or up for faster song. Totally dependent on you, but that's obviously how you adjust the tempo. And then when you're recording, over here under record, you have metronome settings. It by default usually has a click on entirely. A lot of times you might just want to keep it on during the count, not while it's recording, because the drums are pretty good at being in time. Other than that, to assign your tracks like you're used to in Pro Tools, you might want to do is create a new track, new audio track, and when you go over here to the mixer, that track right there, you're going to do is just pick your input up here and pick the channel you want to use. On your Digi, you probably have 8, and then you also have your plugins right here, and there's a variety of ones already built in. I'd say that actually the amp designer is probably probably going to be your favorite for just kind of, or no, the pedal board is going to be your favorite for just kind of screwing around with guitar, because that opens up quite a bit of amps. You just go ahead and pull these different little pedals over here and just mess around with those, turn them off and on. That's a lot of fun. But also when you pick guitar, say for example we were rocking a guitar right here, let's go to electric, maybe a crunch. These are all the different variety of amps it has built in, and there's a lot in here. And what's nice is once you kind of find one that sounds pretty cool, you're probably going to want to click on amp and bring up the actual adjustments, you know, and decide if you want your mic farther, closer, different kind of cab tones, all that kind of stuff. It's like crack, Lance. There's a lot of stuff in here. I think it's more creative than Pro Tools. I love the pinch zoom. That one's really cool. And as well as I love the comping. If you do a vocal, just go ahead and record again. Alright, I just recorded 3 tracks. I just started here, I armed it, I went up and pushed record, and I did something like this. Friday night, hanging out on an iMac from 2010, mid-2010. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not sure if that's the way I want it to sound, but I did 3 other takes. I click here, and I go, how does this one sound? I just click on it, and now I got, yeah, I'm an iMac from the closet, but now I'm living in Sacramento. That's not bad. Now I click on this one. Hey, if you're an iMac, hang out with Lance, see what would happen. That's pretty stupid. How about this one?
Yeah, I'm back in the closet no more.
Yeah, that's the one. But maybe I want a little of this, a little bit of that, and some of this. Now I got,
yeah, I'm back in 2010 no more.
See what would happen. Shit, goddamn hit. See, you just click that, and now you got your comp. All right, that's enough to get in trouble. Once you're done, save, and usually you want to share it to iTunes, or maybe you want to export it out, you know, same stuff kind of as Pro Tools, just a little different. Probably take you about a month to figure out what the hell's going on. Catch you later.